Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're watching Batman on film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to episode number 30 of the Batman on Film Social Hour. And on this one, you can see us. So everyone wave. Okay. And this is going to be an audio podcast and a video version of the Batman on Film Social Hour. I'm the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Ramey. And with me are two senior contributors from Batman on Film, Peter Verra and Ryan Lauer, spelled like lower. See, I did it.
You did.
I did
Nailed it. Yep. Perfect.
How y'all doing?
Doing good. You know,
Good.
Doing real good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got. Good.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
I got nothing to complain about.
All right, let's get right to it. Let's talk about The Batman, the movie. You know, a lot of things are starting to slowly ramp up. It may not even be noticeable, but as we get closer and closer to the release date, more and more people are seeing this movie for a variety of reasons, test screenings and merchandise and all sorts of stuff. So the downside of that is could be spoilers leak out, so be careful. But
I only read one website.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going. I have not seen anything that I would think is a spoiler. And the one thing that it may be, it'll probably come out before the movie even arrives. We may be able to tell when we see the next trailer in about a month and a half now.
It's coming. Fandom's in October. We're at the end of August. So
yeah. So anyway, let's talk about CinemaCon, which took place in Las Vegas last week, and Warner Brothers made a presentation there, and of course there was the Batman presented to the folks in attendance, the theater people, people in that business, and
they have theaters out there.
Yes,
I thought that was Texas exclusive.
There are theaters everywhere, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not just Texas. Okay. Thank you very much. Wherever I'm at, theaters. Okay. So
some people call it the cinema. So
yes, cinemas. You spell it with an ER or an RE when you type or write it.
ER.
I'm an ER guy. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I feel the only time I ever see RE is when you're visiting Canada, right? Like
that's how the British spell it as well.
I saw for like Broadway shows and stuff with the RE.
Like uppity people.
Uppity,
like Mesquite's finest, Rick Shue.
God.
The pride of Mesquite, Texas. Spells it with RE.
Okay. Dick Shoes.
You're going to get me off on a tangent, but I'm going to stay on track here.
I saw Adventures of Bailey in a theater with an RE. Let me tell you.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Did he get a standing ovation?
Yeah, people stood up to walk out. But anyways.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So at CinemaCon, a lot of times they trot out the actors and the director and all that. There was none of that because of the COVID stuff. And so there was a video presentation, or two, actually. There was one kind of a sizzle reel, according to the recaps, which showed, it's kind of like a featurette, it showed some new footage, but it also, it had Reeves talking and Pattinson talking and some of the others, but we'll get to those quotes in a second. And then they showed last year's trailer from CinemaCon that we've been out for a year now. So Some of the stuff that came out, this was all from the trades and so forth. They showed a scene, some new stuff. There's a scene very year one-ish, apparently, where Bruce is walking through a not so good part of Gotham and brooding, and there's all kind of, shenanigans and nonsense going on around him.
Hopefully somebody gets pimp slapped. If he gets the drift.
Yeah. And there's some, various action scenes, Batman fighting bad guys. And it did, several said that there was a shot of Andy Serkis' Alfred.
Finally.
Yeah. So that tells me probably this new footage will be part of the trailer they're going to show next month or in October. So that was that. But I thought the quotes. Well, anyway, what did y'all think of? I mean, was there anything you could take from just from the the what I want to say the summaries that were given in these the rap and the other trades? I mean, it was basically the same thing,
For me, I didn't really read them because I didn't want to get anything spoiled. I've been trying to keep my head in the sand when it comes to this, just because I want to go in there as clean as possible. But just the overall positive reaction is great for me. But like I said, I've said this before, I just get weary because I remember one time, it was claimed BVS got a standing ovation after its private screening, and that movie came out and it pretty much divided the fan base. So we'll see what happens when the movie actually comes. But it's just good to hear. I'm glad things seem to be going well, and for me, I'm just kind of like, all right, well, I can't really judge anything until I see it. The trailer got me pumped. It still gets me pumped. I watch it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the next trailer has in store for us, and I'm just happy we get. Hopefully, we'll see Andy Serkis' Alfred and just a little more stuff. But I mean, none of this stuff has really changed my opinion on the movie. I believe in Matt Reeves. The man hasn't directed. He hasn't written a movie I don't like, so I don't expect that trend to not continue. But again, as long as things are positive, it's just great for the movie, and it's good for the general audience if they're paying attention to stuff. Because
Ryan, did you follow any of that, or did you skim over it, or?
I read the description. I read what Reeves had said and what Pattinson had said. Basically, you quoted both of them in your article on BOF proper, and it does get me excited. Of course, nothing's going to be presented that is going to be like, yeah, this movie's not as good as what you've seen before, but we gave it our best shot. You're not going to have a quote like that. You're going to have positive quotes, but I just like I like what I'm hearing. I like what I read for the summary, and I know people get very. This isn't negative toward anybody. They just get a little concerned if they hear year one because they think, we don't need another origin story. Yeah. And I understand that. I do. But if you listen to Matt Reeves, even last year, he was saying this is year 2 Batman. This isn't an origin story. It's year 2 Batman. So he's still closer to the beginning than the end. And that is an interesting part to pick up on that I look forward to, a way to introduce us into this version of Batman. And like you'd said in your article too, Bill, of it's the vibe, the atmosphere of year one, which, as history shows for all comic readers, they love that with Batman. I think Frank Miller he hit the right tone with Batman for year one, and the right atmosphere. And that's just, a lot of people, that's their favorite Batman. So why not use that on film just for the atmosphere? The story can be totally different. It's not going to be a rehash of what we've seen before.
Yeah, I said it. Me and Pete talked about all that last time, and it's still I think it's an interesting topic to bring up because I still see people saying the same thing. We've already had. I don't want to rehash of Batman Begins, and they're like, he said many times, it's not an origin story. But speaking of Reeves, I mean, I like this quote, and I had paraphrased it in one article, and then I got the exact quote, and it said, I felt that we've seen a lot of origin stories. It seems further things go and it seems things go further and further into fantasy. And I thought, well, one place we haven't been is grounding it in the way that year one does, to come right into a young Batman, not being an origin tale, but referring to his origins and shaking him to his core. You can have it be very practical, but I also thought it could be the most emotional Batman movie ever made. So he mentioned specifically, it's not an origin story. It's the vibe of year one. It's the look, the aesthetic, the grittiness, the street level. And I was going to ask y'all this later. I'll just bring it up now. It's going to be the most realistic, grounded Batman movie we've seen. It's going
That's
to be
been
more
said. A lot of people
Yeah.
are saying that.
it's going to be more grounded than Nolan films. And
Emotional, when he talked about a really emotional Batman, that's something, because the trilogy is a Bruce Wayne story 1st and foremost,
sure.
and if you're going to kind of make it more emotional than that, I'm anticipating it, and I'm very looking forward to it. But just how when he says practical, like I'm expecting, like that's great, because I feel like the last couple of Batman movies have been very CGI heavy, a lot of green screen, and I'm all about the practical sets and the rooftops and actual locations. So that's
you
great.
mean you're talking the last BVS and Justice League, those
those are both of them, all three of those movies. You got two versions of one and BVS. So
because we know no practical. Also, it seems like he shot a lot of this on camera. It's not special effects or CGI heavy. Neither were the Nolan films, but there's some in it.
Oh yeah, they use CGI all the time, but I don't want like the whole background to be computer generated. Like it's different. Like when the Joker invades that cocktail party, the windows are green screen.
Yeah,
that does, but like they're shooting in an actual room.
Yeah. They were actually, I think they were on the ground floor of the building they were using.
That's funny
to shoot that scene. Ron, what do you think about Ree's comment here? The grounding it in the way of year one and so forth and so on.
I definitely hope that we don't get into, not us, just like fandom itself of, when something new comes out, got to trash the old. I hope we do not get into the trashing the holy trinity that is the Dark Knight trilogy on realism, because that was almost perfected by Nolan, I think. And so to me, it gets me excited. Like, oh, you're going to make it more grounded than that even. Bring it on. Like, that's great that you have. The Dark Knight is my favorite movie of all time, period. It's my favorite movie. To have a challenger come up and try to take that title, I welcome it. And by doing that, realistic Batman is just, that's my preferred Batman.
Yeah.
And a gothic kind of Batman, because you guys were talking about like shooting on location. We saw and knew where he was shooting, where Reeves was shooting last year pre-pandemic. And then I think even once they were able to start filming again, and some of those locations look awesome. That's my preferred Batman, like in comics, and like Burton's style of like gothic, and get Batman on a damn gargoyle. Like, yes, that's my preference. So this is more stuff that really excites me. And to tie it down emotionally too, I'm really interested in what aspects of Ego will have inspired this. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like, hey, wink, wink, this is from Ego. It'll be a little more subtle, but like, oh, that's what they brought in. That's really cool.
Psychological aspect of Bruce Wayne and Batman existing or coexisting, I think is where they're going.
Would you say that we've seen that yet in live action?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so either. Of course, I think there's been like little hints, and maybe the Red Diary cut of Batman Forever is what they were wanting to go toward a little bit more, but that didn't obviously make it to theaters. But I don't think there's
very minimally in the Burton movies.
Yes, that's an interesting aspect then for them to explore as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and that to me screams, that's why Pattinson was interested. Like, that part makes me think, oh, there was the challenge, there was the hook for Pattinson as an actor on what he sank his teeth into. I just feel like that's.
I mean, there's clearly has to be. I think we've seen, with Batman Forever. I know that Joel Schumacher had mentioned, the thing about duality was kind of a theme in that film. And there was some conflict. I mean, you see Batman, and I wish they had included all of it in the movie, but the whole with the Red Diary cut, when he gets amnesia from, when he's attacked at Wayne Manor, Batman is taken away from him, and all that's left is Bruce Wayne, and he has to, through the whole process, he finds he can be both, but I don't think we've seen it. Not like it's done in Ego, and I don't think it's going to be like blatantly Ego, but I think that's where we're heading toward, because I mean, Reeves has referenced that story several times. They're even packaging it up as with Year One and Long Halloween and Ego
the
is
Batman
box
set.
set. Yeah. I'll probably buy it even though I have all those books.
It's so long Halloween. I've got to buy it.
Just because it's got the.
Is it in a different format? Are they bigger? Or are they?
I think it's the same ones they had. They're just putting it in a box with Jim Lee's comic fandom deal from last year.
I'll probably pass on that. I already own all three of them.
Sure. I'll get it so I can just put it on my shelf and you can see the box. And
it'll look nice.
Yeah, that's probably the thing. Let's see. Okay, speaking of not Reeves, but moving on from Reeves, but Pattinson we brought up because Ryan said you can see why he's interested in it. He says for some reason, Batman has always stood out as one of the major characters of the 20th century. And so many people connect with him or connect with Batman, on such a deep level for so many different reasons. From the first conversation I had with Matt about it, I just knew there was something radically different here with the film that Reeves was going to make. What's your thoughts on those comments, boys?
To me, it just kind of, I feel like it's not going to be like this action movie, right? Like I'm sure there'll be action in it, but it seems to be a deeper story. I love hearing Pattinson talk. He's so interesting to me. So whenever he does speak, I feel like you learn something new, and just he's an interesting man, which just means like, okay, this guy's kind of quirky. I'm interested to see what he does with Batman. It reminds me a lot of like Keaton. Like I feel like Keaton, he can be kind of coy and he can kind of mislead you a little bit, and that feels like what Pattinson does. Whereas opposed to like, Kilmer, Affleck, and Clooney were kind of like Hollywood guys doing, the PR tour. But I'm interested in it. Everything he says is fascinating.
I like when he's every time he does an interview, he's trolling, and he's trolling the interviewer. He's trolling the audience. It's fantastic.
It's an act. It's like he's acting.
He's doing a bit.
He's playing a character. Yeah, it's very fascinating.
He's doing a bit. And I mean, why would he take this role? Because it's big shoes. It's a huge role, and it's big shoes to fill. Especially you're doing the first solo Batman movie after the Dark Knight trilogy, and Christian Bale is revered for that, for his portrayal. No disrespect toward Ben Affleck, but it's just not a Batman portrayal that resonated just in a huge way with audiences.
If it did, he'd still be here.
It's not beloved. I mean, there's been 3 beloved Batman on film? West.
I'd agree.
Keaton and Bale, So maybe we get a 4th, but for him to do something that we've already seen, he's doing what Christian Bale did. He's trying to do what Keaton did, or Affleck, or whoever. I mean, what's the point? That's this dude making independent films,
And so he got his Twilight money.
Yeah.
And since that series ended, I can't think of a massive extravaganza blockbuster film starring Robert Pattinson. And I feel like that's because he doesn't need it. He made all that money from Twilight to where he could pick his projects, which means he is an actor's actor. He's not in it for the checks. And so definitely for someone like that, in it for the art and that kind of challenge. So that was really exciting when that was announced that he was taking on this role, for that sense of like, this is a guy, he doesn't need this, and he agreed to it. I wonder why. What's in that script? What did Reeves come up with that really got this guy like ready to go?
Lauer, is your fiance a Twilight fan? Like, I feel like she's that age group where the movie hit. I feel like she might have been
that age group. She's older than us, Pete. And
when
the
movie came out, her age group was perfect for that movie.
No, she's never seen him.
She's never seen Twilight.
No.
I was trying to get a female perspective.
She doesn't see, so she's a good gauge for general audience if she does not see Bruce Wayne in Robert Pattinson. She will be there with me, her choice, as soon as we can see it, because she will watch Batman anything. But as of right now, watching that first trailer, she didn't see Bruce Wayne and Robert Pattinson, and I said, okay, that's fair.
Here's my question: what is her perception of what Bruce Wayne is? Is it Playboy Bruce Wayne who's
Yes, the look. Christian Bale is by far and away her favorite Bruce Wayne Batman. Those movies, she loves those movies more than any of the other Batman movies. And so like basically what you got for Christian Bale is I think that's her perception. That's who Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah.
okay?
It's funny. Actually, this conversation came up this weekend. I was with some friends and Batman 89 was on. We watched it and they were talking about actually the Flash movie and Keaton coming back. And it was just a general topic like, well, who's your Batman? And like, who is it? And for me, the answer was, Keaton, but I can't I can't argue what Bale did and how he perfectly balances out the role. So people are talking about just Batman in general, which is great. It was funny hearing that come up from other people and not having me to initiate it.
That's interesting because I would have two answers. Adam West is my Batman. That's why I became a Batman fan. Watching that show when I was born in 65 of October 65. The show came out in January of the following year. And I know I watched it. I don't remember watching it, but when I was 4, 5, 6, that's when the reruns hit and they were always after school. So I would come home and watch. So it was West. And then I went through the period of, that's not the real Batman. No. No. That was mainly when 89, that during that period. And I loved Keaton. But then, I found again, I've come back full circle and I'll say, yeah, Adam West is my Batman, but right there with him is Christian Bale because that trilogy that's my Batman. That's what it jibes with my Batman sensibilities. And with the Batman and it being even more realistic and grounded and gritty, that's right up my wheelhouse. So I'm going to echo what Ryan said. I will always forever love the Dark Knight trilogy and I will always watch the Dark Knight trilogy, but I would love for the Batman and whatever sequels that follow to surpass the greatness of that because it's Batman and it's no knock to me. It's not a knock on my love or my fan or the fandom I have for Nolan's trilogy at all. It doesn't, I don't have to replace that just because I maybe like the Batman better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like going into a new, football season, right? And you'd love to watch the Cowboys go 17-0 and win a Super Bowl and, have that argument. Well, is this team better than one of Landry's teams? Like it just make,
that's kind of like that.
It's kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
You always want your, you always want your team to be better than last year.
Roger Staubach is one of my childhood heroes and my, probably my favorite Cowboy of all time. It doesn't mean that I'm not a huge fan of Dak Prescott or wasn't a huge fan of Troy Aikman or Tony Romo. You know what I mean? So I get it. It just seems sometimes fans, I think there was before we started recording, or maybe it was during the show that, there's a tendency sometimes to shit on what came before.
Yeah. I had a little bit of that. And when I was young and dumb in my early 20s, when the height of the Dark Knight trilogy of I got overly critical of Batman Returns, which I know, Bill, you probably could jump right on that, but I was very overly critical and just pulling it apart and even a little bit of Batman Forever. And then, it just took a little realization, who cares? I was at a great age for both of those movies. I loved both of those movies when they came out. I was just a kid, bought into the world and stuff. And it's you don't I don't know. It's a knack and fandom, of course, to go down that route when we don't need to. And so,
I admitted it just now. I shit on Adam West in the 60 series for, 20 years probably. Before I said
Potbelly Batman, the White Knight, it just wasn't my thing. But and then I finally went, I'm a freaking idiot.
It's okay to have different versions.
Yes, absolutely.
I wish more people would admit they're idiots.
Yeah, but I've learned to appreciate all things Batman, and some things may not be my cup of tea, Batman wise, but I still appreciate it, if it makes sense. For Pete's sake, no pun intended, Pete.
Yeah, I know you appreciate Oswald's version of.
I love Batman Brave and the Bold is my favorite Batman animated series.
So I was just gonna say, Brave and the Bold really just showed us that.
Which people when someone, y'all know that, but sometimes when someone says that and they go, "For real?" I'm like, "Yes."
I said
How?
I sat down and watched a few episodes. It's not my thing, no offense, Mr. Tucker. It's just it's not for me. But I remember watching it episode with Batman and Blue Beetle. I'm like, I can't believe Bill loves this.
Look, it took me a while to get through. I mean, but you got to get through a few episodes. Those first episodes where it's basically Blue Beetle and like Silver Age, Green Arrow.
Red Tornado is one of its greatest episodes.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
Yeah, and then once you get in, it's such a nod to Batman history.
Yeah,
that that's probably why
there's a lot of heart in it.
I love it so much. It's like the Lego Batman movie, it's just so much history, and it's not making fun of Batman at all. It's honoring Batman.
Yeah. And I prefer to watch the Batman, the animated show, as opposed to Batman Brave.
Yeah, I think that when I got a screener for that, and I watched that first episode, I think the review was like, okay, this is kind of well done, but this is not my thing. And then I started watching it, and I was like, I love this damn thing. I love it. I thought it sucked. I wish I could have got another season out of it. Hell, and I like the Batman. The Batman got 5.
Yeah.
Brave and the Bold only got 3. And then
Beware the Batman only got 1, so they got the short end of the stick.
Here comes a tangent real quick. Why was that Beware the Batman aired Saturday mornings and not like Friday night prime time on Cartoon Network?
I think that's just old school thinking. It's Batman, it's animated, it's for kids. I think that's what did
Where
it.
On the other hand, Brave and the Bold was
prime time, wasn't it?
It was Friday nights, prime time, Cartoon Network. And I don't want to call it for kids because it's not. I mean, it's one of those things that kids look at it on the surface and it's like, oh yeah, it's real cartoon and stuff. But then there's so much cleverness and wit and all the Batman history that it's Anyway, I don't get that. I think they got a short end of the stick for sure. So back to the Batman movie. I want to ask both of y'all, because I've been saying this and people have said there's no way. And I think people now maybe starting to realize a little bit more about it's going to be more realistic, more grounded, more gritty than the Nolan films. So is that something that you go, how would you react just for me saying that and thinking that could be a possibility? Do you think, oh, there's no way, or yeah, I can see how that can be done?
I interpret it as one way, and that is there is no Lucius. There is no factory behind him making things. He's doing it. It's a little bit more, I guess you would say it's probably more in lines of what he was doing and begins with the bat suit. Like in terms of the cowl, like he kind of assembled that himself. The survival suit was made by Wayne Enterprises, but he assembled the cowl. So I just think you're going to see him do more of that stuff.
Didn't him and Alfred buy them in bulk from China?
Yeah, both put together, and he put the microphone in there and everything. So I think that's to me how I took it is this is a true, in terms of solo Batman, this might be the most solo Batman we've seen since like Batman Returns, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no Wayne Enterprise even mentioned in those two Burton movies. It doesn't pop up until forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wondering like, where does he get all his toys? So you just in your head feel like he makes them, but I think we're going to see a lot of that. And then if you look at the end of the trailer when he's got the raccoon eyes, it looks like an unfinished version of the Batmobile sitting on some kind of like flatbed. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I feel like he's going to be way more of an engineer in this film.
Clearly, yes, you're right. That is the case, and much more street level. And that goes back to the Year One influence, I think. And even to a certain extent, even The Long Halloween is a gritty, crime thriller, murder mystery, which we're going to get as well. So, Ryan, what's your thoughts?
I mean, if you'd have had me go before Pete, I'd have told you I don't know. But I think what Pete said, that's a great answer. And I think that makes total sense. And now I'm just going to latch onto that because I don't know. Well, I mean, in the trailer it was there of I Am Vengeance of the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank Batman Earth One had some kind of impression on Reeves. I think there was a quote in that of like I Am Vengeance or something, but it just makes me think of that now that you say that, Pete, of he's the engineer, he's making it all himself. I'm like, okay, that's kind of how Earth One was working, but even he relied on Lucius. So I have no freaking clue how it's more grounded than the Nolan movies. I couldn't take a guess.
I don't think it's going to be a microwave emitter that's going, and I don't think Gotham is going to be at peril, just grand scheme, bad guys going to.
This is a cop story. It's
going to feel personal.
Yeah, it's Chinatown. It's
smaller in scope, so maybe that for me could feel like a much more personal story of we are following Bruce Wayne through all of this on a small scope, not a grand scale, traveling the world at filming for some action sequence in this country, then hops to this country, the big explosions in all these countries. Maybe that's how I could see it being more grounded.
Yeah, I would much rather have, I mean, as much as I love the Nolan movies, but having Gotham, I guess, the bomb and the microwave emitter, like Bill said, I would much rather have it be more smaller on scale and just not have like, the world's depending on Batman saving us or the city. It's just a crime wave. This guy's going around, or the Riddler, whoever it is, whoever the big bad is at the end of the movie, is going around murdering people. That's cool to me. I dig that, because it's, again, like, I need Superman to save the world. I need Batman to just protect.
I was going to say that could help us with some. That could help it stand out even more so too. Of that's a different. Sure, it's a superhero movie, but it is so grounded and personal and small in scope compared to these others that could help it stand out too. Of another flavor.
It kind of brings you back to '89, right? Because like the Joker was just out to just, he's just messing around with shampoo and deodorant and poisoning people within the city. It's not a whole grand, like, the world's at danger here. So
I would say that yes, in terms compared to like the bomb and Rises and the microwave emitter and Batman Begins. Yes.
And Justice League too. Like, the world's at peril there.
Yeah. I don't see anything tremendously fantastical or sci-fi ish popping up in these films at all. And I think also at the core is, I mean, he's making this stuff. He's taking a muscle car and turning it into a freaking Batmobile. He's
Neil Adams.
I mean, look at the dadgum suit. I mean, it's, I know there was a lot of skill and work making that suit look the way it does, but it's made to look like it's something that he put together.
I feel like he went to like the Army Navy store and put that thing together.
Yeah, and that I think what's telling is that, well, I think I've mentioned this to Pete before, is that Mattson Tomlin is doing Batman the Imposter graphic novel that comes out right before the Batman, and if you've seen the artwork, there's a cover that Lee Bermejo did. The suit is very, very the Batman-esque, if you will. And when I first saw it, I said, is this a tie-in? Because it's going to be released like in February and the movie comes out in March. So I asked, and I asked someone who would know, and they was like, it's not a direct tie-in, but it's very, very the Batman-ish, if you will, because DC wants stuff that the movie will help sell.
It's interesting. I kind of felt that way when Marini released his Dark Prince Charming. I thought that Joker looked very similar to Joaquin's Joker. So yeah. I feel like stuff like that is done intentionally.
And so, and the whole premise of this Batman the Imposter by Mattson Tomlin, who worked on the screenplay with Matt Reeves for the Batman, is not doing Batman realistic. It's taking the question is, what if Batman was real? I mean, you actually put him in the real world, and we know he wouldn't last a night, but that's an approach I think that's that Reeves is taking.
Mhm.
Even Nolan was like, he called it hyper realism. And I do think we're going to get a more stylized version of Gotham, and the aesthetic of the film is going to be much more stylized because Nolan films were clean, and I mean, I know there was a lot of CGI and models and stuff, and they built up around Chicago and they built up around Pittsburgh and whatever, and they used parts of New York City and stuff, but it was still wasn't all that stylized.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Gotham City brings to the table. I think everyone who's directed a Batman film has kind of recreated their own version of the city, so it's an important aspect. I'm fascinated to see what this kind of, what do you say, this stylized version of New York and stuff. And Gotham City is such a big factor. So it's interesting to see, like, right, like I want Batman hanging out on gargoyles. Like we got a little bit of that in Justice League and at the end of '89. So it'd be nice to see again. I enjoy that stuff.
All right. Anything else? Just Batman in general? Any of y'all want to mention before we go?
I think, Bill, the newly launched Legends of the Dark Knight title is something that you should check out. The most recent issue is just issue number 4, so there's only 4 issues to hop into, and it's a standalone. Digital? They can be. They're on DC Universe. The digital part that's a little funky though is they sell cheaper digitally, but they split each issue up into 2 parts. Okay. So basically, you have to buy, number 1 and 2 digitally. That's issue 1 physically.
Okay, so
but it's still cheaper that way.
Is it digital first and then they release?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
how much longer after the digital release do they put out the?
Oh man,
I have no idea.
I mean, a couple months.
Digital.
Okay.
A couple months.
I want to check that out. I'm getting to where I'm wanting more of the Black Label, the Batman the Imposter, and
don't read Reptilian. It's not good.
That's not good. The Black Label series is great because they keep as small issues, small number of issues of 3 or 5, and I love that format. And they are pretty. You can approach them without having read something previously, so you can just jump right in. So I think the Black Label is kind of, especially in the state that we're in right now with the Batman title itself, but those Black Label books are good. But Legends of the Dark Knight is standalone.
I think I mentioned that. I said I'd love for them to bring back Legends of the Dark Knight. This is basically the same thing. That's good stuff. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's prime Batman. It's not having, I mean, so far there's 4 issues that I've read, and the 4th issue is a standalone story. Begins and ends all in 22 pages, and that's it. And so I'd almost say roll the dice on that one, even digitally. It'll cost you like $2 or something.
I hate to say this, but I've said it before. I stopped reading Batman. I mean, I just gave up on it.
My reviews for the site aren't really turning or changing your mind either, are they? I read it, and then I was like, I used to want to read it as soon as it was released, and now I'm just like,
No, Batman's kind of taking a dip. Have you watched episode 5 of Titans yet?
I did.
What did you think?
It was better than I expected.
I think it's good. I think it's the best that the series has gotten. Everyone's talking about like groundbreaking television.
Now I haven't watched anything.
You got to calm down with that, but it's good.
I haven't watched anything this season. I haven't watched anything since season 1. Maybe I gave it a couple of 2 or 3 shots of review of episodes. I did watch this. Better than I thought. Still not my. It didn't capture me to where I want to watch it. Not a fan of that dude as Bruce Wayne all that much.
He was awesome on Game of Thrones, Ian Glenn, but I think he's miscast as Bruce Wayne. Doesn't work.
I find his Bruce Wayne very fascinating. It's just an interesting interpretation. I will say that this season feels the most like any Batman series I've ever that I've watched compared to anything. It's way more Batman than that show on Fox ever was. But it's interesting. The first episode felt like an episode of Batman. This 5th episode feels like an episode of Batman. They are relying, and everything involving the Red Hood and Grayson. It's leaning very Batman heavy, and I'm kind of like, can we just make a Batman show? If you guys are gonna do this, where's Raven? Where Superboy had a little bit of part in the Hawk and Dove episode, but this seems like they're really leaning heavy. It's
kind of like they tiptoe around it because it's still the
It's still
movies.
Titans. Yeah.
The movies are that's their bread and butter with Batman. Even with Gotham. Even we've had Gotham, and we have this Titans now, and
that
it's
show doesn't exist.
even when we talked to the writer from The Long Halloween, Tim Sheridan, he was like, they had were making this thing, didn't know if it would ever be released because they didn't know how much it was going to be a conflict with Matt Reeves as the Batman.
Interesting.
But it didn't. So they gave it the final green light. So even though they're way more open with Batman than they used to be. I mean, used to be like, no, period.
Yeah,
no.
we got Bruce Wayne in Batwoman. He was in Batwoman for a handful of episodes, and back in the day, you wouldn't even have gotten that.
So they're opening it up a little bit more. They seem to be what's obvious. I mean, they are much more willing to go full on Superman on TV and whatnot as
I think there's something there. Superman's had a wonderful history.
Superman has done really well on TV.
Maybe more than Batman. Like Batman 66 stands out, but Superman, his television run is unparalleled compared to anybody else in capes and tights.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And maybe the whole different topic. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but does that character work better on TV? I don't know. Let's save that. I'm gonna write that down. Okay,
that's for the next Dick Shoe special.
But yeah, I'll have to discuss that. That right there, that threw me for a loop. Completely lost my train of thought with that comment. So that Dick Shoe's comment. All right, so getting closer to the Batman. Every second, we're 6 months out. We're gonna get a trailer in a month and a half. Can't wait.
I'm excited. This fandom coming up, I think, is going to be really something special. Yeah. I mean, Black Adam, The Flash, Aquaman, The Batman. I mean, did I miss anything? Those things are headliners.
One more thing. You brought this up. How much of Keaton's Batman do you want to see at Fandom? Or do you want to see it?
I want to see him in the suit. I don't want us to see...
Don't ruin anything.
I don't want us to see how he returns or how they meet in the film. I want that saved for the theater. I would like to see a cool picture of Keaton in the suit, even if it's just an image, still image, that's fine. Because we'll be like 14 months out from The Flash. They don't owe us anything, but if they have a part of Fandom, they're going to give us something.
I don't know how much of the suit I want to see because I feel like it's going to be different. Right, that image that Muschietti shared, it seemed a little bit more armored.
I feel like there's going to be multiple suits, so why not give us one?
All right.
If there's going to be multiple.
If you show me that car, that's all I need. All I need is that car.
You know what that looks like. So, yeah.
I know, but to see it in something new, I don't know, whether it's just the Flash standing next to it, just because it's kind of mind-blowing, I still can't believe Keaton's back. It's crazy to me.
We got a lot of Pattinson in that first Batman trailer as Batman, and Bruce Wayne. But I think that may be just because they were doing a little bit of a sales job. No, look,
I think so. Because
here's Pattinson. Look, this is what this is. This is badass.
This is different than when the last time you saw this character.
And with Keaton, we know what we're getting. So I don't want to. I'm with you. I don't want them to overdo it. I just want to see something. A brief shot, just tease me, okay?
Yeah,
a good teaser.
Yeah, I mean, we're still well over a year away.
What if the trailer just ends with Keaton doing his famous bat turn, and that's how it ends, and then you see him and you see that oval back. Yeah.
Okay. I hope if he sports a full suit, I hope they gave the man something way more comfortable than what he had to wear. In 99 and 92, and maybe he can actually turn his head this time,
I hope he doesn't have to turn his head. I want the bat turn.
Maybe he can turn his head, but he does the bat turn. Who knows?
Well, let's see. I don't know. We'll have to have Reeves effects on and talk to him about it. He makes all these suits.
All right. That'd be a good idea, actually. All right, Brian, plug
away. All right, you can read all of my reviews and posts that are varying topics on BOF proper. You can also follow my podcast, The Batman Book Club, on Twitter at The Batman BC. The next episode drops tomorrow, and it's got my pal here, Peter, on to discuss Batman comics in the month of August. So check that out.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, read more Batman comics. There you go.
Okay. All right, Peter.
You can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite Verra at Pete Illustrated. You can follow podcast number 1, Straight Outta Gotham, that I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Holzman, at straight_O_G on both Instagram and Twitter. Check out our Facebook group. Check out our Facebook fan page. You could also follow my second podcast, the Italian Spider-Man Coalition, that I co-host with Chicago's finest, Nick and Nico Caruso. That is at Italians for Spidey on Twitter. We're going to record a new episode today, so check that out. Check out all my reviews, Detective Comics, toys, and interviews at Batman on Film Proper. Check out all my other reviews, video-wise, on Batman on Film YouTube. And I think that's it.
Thanks for letting me go first, Bill. Jeez.
I think
I'm also doing a new show, the SOG Hulk Book Club. You may know the other guy co-hosting it. He's a little humble, but it's going to be fun.
the Hulk Book Club.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
So you're like doing like Peter David stuff?
Whatever, people want to talk about the Hulk. I just stole Ryan's idea and applied it to Big Mean Green.
Okay. Interesting. Did you know I was a Hulk fan when I was a kid?
I did. I'll have to have you on.
For Lou Ferrigno? Or is that what did it?
I watched those episodes on Netflix. They're great.
That was probably when I was at the height of it. But I did. Spider-Man is sometimes goes back and forth with Superman as my second favorite comic book character. Mm-hmm. They kind of flip-flop, depends on what's going on.
So you're pumped for No Way Home?
I am anxious to see it because I like the fact that they're bringing in characters from the previous films. That's interesting to me. Mm-hmm. I hope it's more of a Peter Parker centric in New York type Spider-Man film as opposed to Iron Man Jr. and all the MCU stuff that has kind of turned me off of. Didn't hate them, and I liked both. I liked Homecoming better than the last one, Far From Home. Sure. But yeah, I prefer the Sam Raimi films, and I don't hate the Amazing Spider-Man with the first one.
The first one's very good. The second one,
wasn't a big fan of the second one, but yeah. But when I was a kid, there was an animated Spider-Man, where the song comes from, Spider-Man, and that was where I've discovered Spider-Man, and I have Spider-Man comics, and then I found the Hulk. So I had I have like tons of Batman comics, a lot of Superman comics, some other random DC comics, and then lots of Spider-Man and some Hulk. And I can tell from the dates of my Hulk from being like 77, 78, it was about during the time of the TV show, with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. Love that. And yeah, those my two Marvel characters. Never did anything else Marvel. Never read X-Men. I think I have a few Werewolf by Night issues from Marvel. I think they're going to adapt that into a movie at Sony.
I thought I saw something about Disney Plus doing a Marvel Werewolf Halloween special.
It's you ever read you know what I'm talking about, that title, Werewolf by Night?
No,
it's a Marvel title. Okay, it's somehow, and if somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm
sure they will.
I think it's a Sony property because it's somehow part of the Spider-Man world, comic book wise, rights wise, like Morbius and Venom and all that.
Isn't that Jameson's son? I believe isn't Jameson's son turned into a werewolf?
That may be it.
I believe that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The astronaut.
Then
My son, the astronaut.
Might have been. Yeah, I think you're 100%. Yeah. So that's why it's part of the Spider-Man on film universe.
It's a good deal they got over at Sony.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got a good attorney.
So all I got to do is make Spider-Man movies and they hold on to the rights, So
there you go.
That's the deal. All right. You can find me on Twitter at Batman on Film, Batman News on Twitter at The Batman on Film. You can find me on find Batman on Film on Instagram at Batman on Film. And there on that social media platform. T-Public. If you want to support Batman on Film, go to tpublic.com/Batman on Film, and you can get a Batman No F's Left to Give t-shirt like the one I'm sporting right here.
No logo. They can't take it down.
No, and let's see what else. Oh, if you liked what we do here at Batman on Film, patreon.com/Batman on Film. What am I missing? Batman Podcast Network. All these boys talked about their shows. They're all part of the Batman Podcast Network, batmanpodcastnetwork.com, and at BatPod Network on Twitter. Shout out to Ryan Haas on that one. And I think that's it. So for Peter and Ryan, I am Bill. And thanks for watching or listening or both. We'll catch you next time.
Gumbo.
Didn't make any. Cooked some enchiladas this weekend, though. Now I'm ending the show. The audience is ready to go. And we bring up cooking. I made some green chicken enchiladas. One batch with the green sauce, one batch with the red.
How's the weather over there?
Sunny and 88 degrees.
You know what? It is
bonus show.
It is lower 90s, which is you know what? We haven't had barely a few hundreds this summer. So you laugh and see, they got me on a tangent. So speaking of weather, I will say,
if this is over an hour, I'm going to get yelled at. So you better.
I know. Real quick, I got to say, I'm thinking about you people in Louisiana, Mississippi, in that area who's dealing with that hurricane.
Yes, God bless.
I grew up
Please take care.
in Southeast Texas, and I've dealt with hurricanes my entire life until I moved to Dallas. And it's weird not having to watch. I still watch the Gulf and the tropics because it's in my DNA when I see a system coming, because I've been through it all. I wrote out Ike 10 years ago plus, and it was not fun. And I've dealt with it since I was a kid. And this one was one nasty son of a bitch. It was damn near Category 5 when it came in. So, in fact, when something like this happens, I always go to Red Cross and whatever charity you do, and I donate for hurricane relief or whatever, because I understand. So, if you're a BOFer getting affected by that stuff, I understand. Hell, Pete, you had Sandy, right?
I hope I never live through anything like that again.
Yeah.
That was a crazy experience.
Yeah. Anything from this last one? What was it, a week or so ago? 2 weeks ago?
Nothing but clouds and rain.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Okay.
So very fortunate.
And then we got Lauer just deals with snow.
We just got some snow.
It snows
Snow
in
and some
Indiana.
rain.
Blizzards and
We might get a tornado every now and then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, don't even
Midwest.
get me started on tornado. I start talking about North Texas and tornadoes and Southeast Texas and hurricanes. Okay, I got to end this. Thanks for watching or listening. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Batman on Film Social Hour, Jett's official BOF podcast and vlog. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film. For BOF news only on Twitter, follow at the Batman on Film. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original Batman on Film.